So welcome back to the channel and welcome back to our part 2 of our vintage camper restoration. So in part 1 we just discussed a little bit about the situation we had. Part 2 we're going to cover a few things. First off, we're going to fix the leaks. So we've got a few leaks that are happening inside this trailer and I don't want to go rebuilding it with the water coming in. So a couple things that are going to be in this video is, first of all, fiberglass repair, how we're going to repair the fiberglass that's cracked, making that nice and strong, sealed up. And also the front window. When the snow came and cracked the top, it popped that front window out. So we're going to have to rebuild the frame that's around the window, the wooden frame where the window and the inside trim piece pinch to hold the window in. Then we're going to butyl tape up that window and get it installed nice and solid so that it's sealed up. After that, after we've got that front window sealed, the roof is all sealed up. So we're going to rip out the interior, well, very carefully, marking where the panels, where everything came from, putting it away, and then hopefully using that as a template later on to rebuild it. So if you're interested in vintage trailers or trailers period, I know we talk a lot about cargo trailers, this is going to be a good video for you. Let's get started. Okay, so here's the cracks. You can see the front window's right here and it's right above the front window. It basically, because the window wasn't bolted in, right? There was nothing holding the window in. So that provided no strength. And so then it just buckled in the middle, completely buckled. So that's what this whole big crack goes all the way here, all the way up and all the way around. So this needs to be fixed. Here's what we're going to use to do this fiberglass. So I've got my grinder. On the grinder, I've just got one of these flapper discs. It's for sanding. My mask, you don't want to have any fiberglass fibers in your lungs. Gloves, just the disposable gloves. Just an old milk container, I'm going to mix it in. Scissors to cut the fiberglass matting. Some fiberglass matting. Jug of this resin. And then the hardener. So here's our fiberglass repair from the other day. You can see, so right now it's got 3 layers of fiberglass on it. It's super solid. One thing with laying this fiberglass, which you got to really be careful of, is that you don't fiberglass it well that it's misshapen. Otherwise you're stuck with that shape forever. Inside the wooden frame that goes around the window needs to be rebuilt. One of the top bars is cracked. Okay, so we're still working on this front window. Basically, I've just been sanding down the strips. Now we're going to start filling them. You can see I've got the window frame on the inside. It's glued in here. So the window's ready to go in. Okay, so here's what we're going to be using to fill this fiberglass. So first off, what we're going to start with is this Bondo 4 fiberglass. So it's a short strand, so it's actually got strands of fiberglass in it. And that just gives it strength. This here is just lightweight body filler. This is our fine, this is called glazing putty. This is the last step. So this just fills in all the little dips, pores, any tiny little scratches, even from the sandpaper, this will fill that in. So this is our last step, just a nice coating of that. And then a hand sand after this one because it'll come off very fast. Okay, so we've done our first layer of filler outside. We've done that thick fiberglass filler. We're going to let that set up and dry. And as that's drying, we're going to start on the interior, start taking it apart. So a couple of things I want to get done is I want to get the fridge out, the stove out, the furnace out. Let's focus on that. What we're going to do is we're going to start outside, pull off the cover, disconnect the gas, the electricity to it, and then see, usually there's some screws that hold it down at the back, and then it's just like a perimeter screws around here, and then we can get it free. Let's go take a look on under the cover. I know it looks bad, but this is actually not that bad. When you've done a bunch of these, you realize that this is what happens. They rust up a little bit. But often the ones that are really rust is when it's got the roof vent where it exhausts through the roof and it breaks and then it rains through it. The water comes through it and it really rusts it out. So this one, we've got a little bit of surface rust on here. It's okay, we'll clean this up. To get this thing out, we're just going to disconnect the power. We've got the power right here. Then we're going to disconnect the propane down here. And down here we've got 12 volt too, so we'll disconnect that underneath this box. So 12 volt, 120 propane. And I don't see any hold downs on the side for the slide, so it looks like it's just the perimeter screws that we're going to have to remove. Okay, so that's what's underneath the cover. You can see you've got the power and the ground right here. And I just took a picture. I always like to just take a picture and then I save it. No matter what electronic piece I pull off, I just take a picture of how they had it wired. So we're going to take this gas line off here. To do that, we don't want to just twist this right here because it'll twist this little block. So you want to support the block. So I think I've got 3/4 nut, flare nut here, and this is 13/16. And so you reverse just to support it so that it doesn't twist this whole assembly too badly. Let's take the stove out now. Okay, that's pretty easy. So it looks like there's just the 4 bolts up top, and then this whole thing's sliding out. Obviously, once you take the gas, disconnect the gas. Let's take the furnace out now. Okay, I think I got this figured out. So what it is there's a tube. This tube fits over the exhaust tube from the furnace, and it's just like a slip fit. But because there's so much moisture coming through this, that's just rusted right solid. So now the way that this normally comes off is that this would just slide off of that tube in there. Because that's not going to work, what I'm going to do is there's some little rivets in between this plate and this tube. I'm going to grind them off from the inside just with a burr. I'm going to take those rivets out of there. Once those rivets are out of there, I can get this face plate off. Then I can slide the furnace out that way. Once it's out, I will soak this thing with some penetrating fluid, get this loose, get it off, and then put in new rivets into this faceplate. Okay, so here we are. I pulled this little thing out of the center. That's in that tube there to stop critters from going in. And then I just took out those rivets that are in there. So this thing's now loose. And I think we can just take this off like this. There you go. Let's just take a quick overview of everything while it's all out here. So we can see a few things here just to notice for when we rebuild it. The fridge is supposed to be sealed, so it's completely sealed from the cabin. You don't want your exhaust from your fridge going up and then coming through and into your cabin here. That will kill you. So that's why usually these things, oh yeah, you can see there, see the silicone even in the corners. So everything's sealed up. So if this is getting rotten like this, or if it's leaking like down there, you can have, in windy conditions, you can have the exhaust coming through into your cabin. So that's why it's really important. I would even just recommend, saw how easy that was to slide this. Slide it out, take a look, seal it all up, slide it back. Anyways, moving on here. So here's our little cabinets down here. I really like the layout. I think there's tons of storage in here, and I'm going to keep the same layout. I really do like it. There's our plumbing, everything in behind, and then our wiring heading off there. So the outside now I think is dry, the fiberglass filler. Now we're going to jump out there and put a layer of body filler on it. Okay, second layer is on outside. Now we're back inside taking this thing apart. Here's a quick update. Glazing putty now on here, and that's just to fill the little teeny scratches. We've got the window to go in now. Remember, we've got the frame done. I've painted, I've sealed up the outside of the shell enough So now just to put this window in, I'm just going to clean it really well and put a butyl tape around it. But we're going to get into more detail in a later video. I'm going to have one specifically just about how to reseal our windows in these trailers or in our cargo trailers. They're all the same. So here's the butyl tape I use. I highly recommend it. I'll put an affiliate link down below in the description. If you've got the type of butyl tape that is kind of like wrinkly, when you unroll it, it's really wrinkly, just throw it out. It's garbage. Sometimes it comes with different, like a vent or whatever, they'll throw in this cheap butyl tape. But this butyl tape is good quality. When you unroll it, it goes out smooth, and it doesn't have different variations of the thickness, because that's what messes you up, the different variations. Then when you go to pinch it, you'll have little gaps in between. But you can see how the actual, first of all, it's packaged so well so it doesn't come all busted up, bent and everything. But notice the butyl tape itself, see how it's perfectly square? That'll give you a nice even seal all around your window. So definitely use good quality butyl tape. You don't want to be doing these jobs twice. And you'll probably need a lot of it, especially with this trailer because there's so many windows. And also, always do your seam at the bottom of your window. Okay, so we got everything ripped out now. We are ready to start rebuilding this, I think. But you can see a lot of these boards here. This is where things are screwed to, and see how they're loose? So it's not providing any strength anymore. So I'm going to re-glue all those boards into there. Like that board probably goes across where this shelf or where this cupboard screws into that board. Okay, so that's it. I think that gives you kind of a rough idea of where I'm at right now. But now what are we going to do moving forward? Well, obviously the floor needs to be replaced. It's rotted out. Some of the walls, the supports, are rotted out, so they'll need to be replaced. The way I'm planning on doing this is I'm going to do half of the trailer at a time. So I'm going to do the back half, and then I'm going to do the front half, because I can't get the shower unit out of the door. So I'm going to just leave that here out front, and then I'm going to rebuild the back, and then stick the shower back in here, and then continue on our way forward. So far it's been pretty good. I think I've been working on it now 3 days or so. The demo is always the fun part, right? Ripping everything apart. It's putting together is a little bit more work. But I think that's where I really enjoy it, because you get to see as things start coming back together, and we get to talk about some of those systems that we're installing in our cargo trailers or installing in our trailers. So if you're into vintage trailers, if you're into cargo trailers, or if you just are interested in what's going on here, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.